this morning? Hope we're doing all right. I know I'm doing all right. It is 6:14 a.m. And that means that we are about to get started with the day. Just finished a workout, if you call it that, stream. Otherwise, it's online for you. I'm going to have my morning coffee, and we're going to continue the conversation about getting fit, getting healthy, and I'm going to do so right before I go out on a morning walk to catch this first 30 minutes of sunlight and to get that low intensity, steady state cardio in. Or get those 30 minutes of extra movement in, because I am vested in changing the activity level of my day to day for better long and short-term health outcomes. For those of you who are watching, thanks for dropping by, or listening, thanks for dropping by and saying hi. My name is Toby. I am 41 years old, and I train to live an active, self-sufficient, and adventurous life. I do so by minding my sleep. I try to sleep between 7 and 9 hours in a night. I do so by minding what I eat. I try to eat within my energy balance, which is around 2,200 calories, is, where my base lies. I can get away with a little bit more than that, but definitely not a lot more. I try to eat a lot of greens because of the nutritional value that colored fresh foods pack. And I try to eat sufficient protein for my muscle growth and strength training goals. So it means that today I will be adding a protein shake to my dietary routine, because I used kettlebell and did, even though it was light training, some weightlifting, and that means that I want to make sure I have enough proteins in my system to actually support the muscle building and muscle growth goals for strength and longevity. I show up for training. I do strength training, strength conditioning training, mobility training, endurance training, HIIT training, steady state cardio, walks or runs, and I mix that up throughout the week. On top of that, I try to live an active life, so be active at least for 2 to 3 hours throughout the day, as in physically moving and doing things, whatever those might be. We'll talk about that a bit more in this episode and in every episode that we're going to talk about one small change that we can make today that might help us change one habit or adjust one little thing about our health and fitness if it happens to stick over time. Let's see. What else do I want to talk about? I also am mindful of investing in the people I love and care about, spending time with them. I think that is incredibly important. I did this weird thing with my watch just now, which I do before going out on walks so I can keep track on time, is putting it over my sleeve, but it actually doesn't feel comfortable at all. As I'm talking here, it's a mental thing, so I'm going to switch it back. So investing time in the people I love and care about, spend time with them, spend time with my wife, spend time with my kids, and try to build and sustain those relationships for my emotional, mental, physical well-being, because relationships are important. Also with my close friends, right? Investing time and energy and seeing them, spending time with them, talking to them, discussing life with them, and doing things that I generally enjoy, like streaming, podcasting, talking about health and fitness, but also creative writing is something that I enjoy doing. So having something of my own that I invest time and energy in to make sure that I that I can do something and get good at something and master something for the sake of doing it, for the sake of the activity. There's no end goal, monetary goal, monetization goal, purpose there at all, except the joy of doing that. All right? In the mix of those things, I think we need to talk about why or whether I can get fit faster. Because there seems to be this idea going around that health and fitness is something that we need to minimize the investment in so we can get on with our lives. And I think that's a very interesting point of view. The answer partially is yes, you can get fit faster, you can get incredible results depending on the baseline from which you're starting by doing little things and by doing workout snacks and by adjusting your diet slightly, by adding things to your diet that are not significant changes to your overall day-to-day rhythm. But I think the overall question we need to ask ourselves is, well, why, and that is the coffee that is almost ready, why do we think that getting fit and healthy is done in 10 minutes or 30 minutes of training? And why don't we think that being fit and healthy, oh boy, I hope it doesn't explode. That's new. That was the coffee maker, just in case you were wondering. But why don't we think that staying fit and healthy for life is actually something that we just that we simply are doing throughout the day, meaning that the way we spend our day and the things we do. Brett Barkman said hi. Hi, thanks for dropping by, saying hi. I hope you're doing well where you are in the world. I appreciate you dropping by and saying hello this morning, letting me know that you're watching. And like I said, I hope you're doing well where you are in the world, and I hope the day or the evening is going to treat you well as you get started or end the day, depending on where you are in the world. It is 6:22 a.m. where I'm at in Amsterdam, so it's about time for me to get started with the day. Like I was saying, why don't we see health and fitness as something that we do throughout the day that is generally just a part of the way we live? So can I get fit faster? Probably. Is getting fit the only thing we're after? Maybe not. Maybe we are looking for a slightly more holistic approach. And I'll tell you why I think this is important. I think this is important because last week and the week before I was on holidays, and what I noticed was that there was this reflex of, oh, now I'm on holidays, I can eat what I want, I can drink what I want, and I'm going to just let go and do all of the things that I never get to do at home. And I stopped for a moment when I had that thought, and I really connected with it. I said, well, why am I thinking that I need to let go and stop doing all of the things that I'm doing? Are they really that terrible or bad? Is it really that stressful for me to get up in the morning and do a workout? No, it's not. Is it that stressful or painful for me to get up in the morning and to eat a healthy meal, for me to eat a healthy lunch, for me to eat a healthy dinner? No, it is not. Do I feel good because of the choices that I've been making? Actually, yes, I do. I sleep better when I eat well. I have more energy when I eat well. I'm in a better mood when I eat well, when I exercise, when I have my rhythm and routine. So why do I have this reaction or this idea that now that we're on holidays, suddenly I should be doing everything differently? And I couldn't explain why, except after a couple of days I realized, well, it's because I used to think that it was some sort of duty or obligation or forced commitment to work on my health and fitness. But over the course of the last 6 or 7 years, I've actually come to realize that it is more about me having created a lifestyle that works for me. I have found the things that I enjoy doing that give me pleasure, that give me payoff, that give me a sense of purpose, that provide me with an idea of direction, a sense of direction in terms of what I'm working towards with my health and fitness and why it is important, that it doesn't feel like an obligation or a forced commitment, but it is just something that I do. And it was relatively easy afterwards to actually keep doing the things that I did and maybe even do them a bit better. Before the holidays, I had been tracking all of my calories for about 2 months. I stopped doing that during the holidays and we just kind of went with the day. And guess what? I actually managed to even lose some body fat while I was there compared to when I started. And that had everything to do with the fact that even though we were eating more, I had ice cream every day, which is something that I would not normally do. I wouldn't recommend that because that's quite an impact on the calorie balance, which is something we're going to talk about in a moment. Even despite those additions to my day-to-day, I was incredibly fortunate to actually see my health improve because I did also keep exercising and training on top of the movement that we were doing in leisure, spending time together with people I love and care about. So anyway, as a starter, just for us to think about, is it about getting fit faster? Is it about getting fit and healthy for life? Is it about developing a skill set over time and figuring out what we enjoy and don't enjoy doing so that we develop the tools and abilities and rhythms and habits that are going to keep us fit and healthy for life? And there are different markers of health and fitness that we can talk about, but in general, I think this is the one that we need to think about properly before anything else. Today, what was on my training schedule today? So before this stream, before I recorded this podcast, I was doing my morning workout. I did a light kettlebell routine every minute on the minute, 30 minutes long. I did 3 exercises. So I did push-ups, I did squats, goblet squats, and then I did bent over rows, and I alternated. So 6 push-ups, waited for the minute to end, 10 squats, waited for the minute to end, 20 rows, 10 left, 10 right, waited for the minute to end. I did that cycle of 3 minutes, 10 times, got my heart rate up slightly, let's see, but it wasn't the heaviest workout because I did it with 5 kilos, and I did it with 8 kilos, which is the lightest kettlebell that I generally train with because I am still recovering from that back injury, and it was 29 minutes, and it was a good start of the day and a good workout. Tomorrow we'll be doing mobility right before I step back into my kitchen for a little chat and conversation about health and fitness. So if that's something you're interested in, you can go ahead and drop by tomorrow, hit subscribe, and you'll get the notifications, or make sure you get the notifications of my channel because I post the live streams the day before, so you know that they're coming. Let's talk about energy balance specifically. Let's talk about that one of the basic ideas in health and fitness that I think when it comes to the big factors of fitness, so we talk about sleep, we talk about nutrition, we talk about moving, we talk about connections and relationships, and we talk about having some sort of pursuit or mastery of something for the sake of doing it. Then when we zoom in on nutrition, there's a lot of information about nutrition out there. And I'm not a dietitian or a nutritionist, but I can tell you some of the things that I have learned and understood. I am a lifestyle coach and personal trainer. At least I have the certifications. I think that is an interesting trade to apply, but I'm not in my day job. I work in marketing and sales, but on the side, I talk to people, and specifically I followed all of these courses and certifications so that I could train and coach myself. And from that perspective, for myself, I have found that understanding the concept of energy balance is instrumental in understanding how food works. Because there are a couple of problems that we face when we're trying to get fit and healthy for life, right? The most important ones are these. One, food is accessible easily. So it's just whatever the situation or environment you're in, it is very unlikely in modern society in this part of the world that you need to go very far, that you need to hunt and gather your own food, that you need to go very far out your front door to actually find a place that will sell you something to eat that is high in calories, high in fats, high in sugars, high in proteins. All right, you're probably going to find that, or you could even be in a position where you could tap the screen on your phone and it gets delivered to your front door. So food is, in that sense, always available. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'll leave that in the middle. I think that depends on your point of view of the world, but food is always available. Second thing is that the quantity of food that is available is more than you need and I need to actually survive and thrive, meaning that there is way more food for us to eat that we can have in the shelves or stock in our fridge or in our pantry than we actually need to consume in a day, a week, or a month. But there we have it. And the third thing is that all of this food, actually, we have transitioned away from whole, fresh foods like the things that you see here, right? The tomatoes, the bananas, the mangoes, avocados, fresh sourdough bread from a small baker that we walk 10 minutes to and from to collect our foods. And we've started to eat a lot more prepackaged, pre-made, processed foods or ultra-processed foods. The net result of this is that it is very easy to overconsume energy relative to our expenditure. And during the other live stream, during the workout, I talked a lot about the lack of movement we experience and how working out for 30 minutes 3 times a week isn't going to make up for the general lack of activity in our lives, but that's a different conversation. In general, right, those 3 factors about food make it very easy to consume a lot of energy, whereas our modern lifestyle actually is centered around expending as little energy as possible. So what is energy balance? Energy balance is the balance between the food we consume, the calories we consume, versus the calories we use in a day. And it's important to keep this concept central in mind because it is one of the biggest factors that we can control to start taking charge of our general health, fitness, well-being, and longevity. So when we eat, we are consuming fuel for our body to function, and our body needs a certain amount of fuel to work every day. My baseline is around 2,200 calories in a day, all right? Because I'm lightly active throughout the day, I get away with a little bit more calories, so let's say 2,300 calories in a day. But generally speaking, if I start to eat more than that amount of calories in the energy, regardless of the type of foods. Could be cucumbers, could be broccolis, could be chocolate bars. Doesn't matter. If I eat more than that amount of energy, I am going to store that excess energy as fat. And we all need a little bit of fat on our bodies, all right? There's this whole movement about people needing to be lean and whatnot. I think there are good body weight or body fat percentages to kind of gauge where we are in terms of our health and fitness. I would like mine to be around 15%. I'm a bit above that generally. That's more or less the way I've been built, more or less the way I've always been, but I'm very well on my way to that 15% at the moment. Doesn't need to be less for me. I definitely don't think it needs to be above 20, so to speak. But I will store that excess energy, those excess calories as fat, because I have no other use for them. And that is basically what the body does. It consumes energy to use it. If it doesn't use it, it stores it for future use because of reasons that I cannot explain. There are other people who have theories and ideas about that, but I'll leave that to them to talk about. That's the way this works. I can expend energy in different ways just by breathing and being alive. My heart's pumping blood around, I'm thinking, I'm breathing, I'm activating my muscles once in a while, right? There are a lot of regenerative systems at work. I'm digesting food, whatnot. Thanks for the support and the hearts, I appreciate that, right? And I am, therefore, Kim Knight, thanks for saying hi, Kim Knight. I hope you're doing all right. And I hope life is treating you well where you are in the world. It is 6:36 a.m. where I'm at in Amsterdam. I'm about to go out on my morning walk, but I hope that you are having a good end of day or start of day wherever you're at, and that you're well, right? I can increase my energy expenditure somewhat, but just to give you an idea, right, the estimates of a soccer player on a match day is around 4,000 calories, maybe a bit more. I heard that statistic somewhere. So if your baseline is 2,000 and you go out for a walk and you do a little bit of a workout, it's not like you are delivering the same level of activity as an elite football player, right, who runs around the field for 90 minutes, 2 hours on match day. So it's not like you get to eat twice as many calories as your baseline on any normal day. But you can increase your energy expenditure slightly throughout the day because that's what we do. That's what we're made for. We are made to move around. We're made to use our bodies to exert strength, to move faster, slower, to get our heart rate up, lower, to squat, to sit on the floor, to hang, to climb, to carry, right? These are things that we are made to do, and we can do them well. So we get to eat maybe a little bit more than our balance, but not a lot more. Anything in excess of that is going to be stored as fat. And this excess fat is not necessarily a problem. Like I said, 15% body fat for me is fine. 20% for a man is even fine. For women, it's even a little bit higher than that. There's no problem with that. You're not less of a human being. You're just a human being because that is what our body is composed of: bones, lean tissue, organs, fats, brain matter, whatnot. But when we pack on more and more soft tissue over time and are not active and do not develop lean mass and muscles and do not keep our cardiorespiratory system healthy, we are on a trajectory of being unhealthy. So when I talk about health, fitness, and longevity, I approach these kinds of challenges from the idea that I want to be healthy, right? I want to be free from diseases and discomfort for as long as I can. I want to be fit. I want to be strong. I want to have endurance, cardiorespiratory fitness, strong bones to be able to lift weights and move at speed or at pace over time, carry heavy things, carry children. I'll be carrying an 18-kilo child on my back through the mountains over summer, for example, as we go on hikes, those kinds of things. I would like to have the range of motion to be self-sufficient and capable over time. So my mobility, right? My flexibility and mobility. That is what I am looking at when I look at these challenges. And one of the key drivers of being able to do that is understanding how nutrition factors into the total frame of being healthy and fit, which is why I think energy balance is so important. And I know people say, well, a calorie is not a calorie. Some people say a calorie is a calorie. There's a debate about that. I think as a unit of measurement, a centimeter is a centimeter, a kilogram is a kilogram, a calorie is a calorie. It's a unit of measurement, right? That's my starting point. What is different is that 100 calories of tomato salad with a bit of olive oil is a different 100 calories than 100 calories from a sugar-packed chocolate bar, because the tomato salad is probably going to keep me fuller and satiated. The tomato salad with olive oil is going to keep me fuller and satiated for longer than the energy rush that I'm going to get from the sugar-stuffed chocolate bar, which is going to give me that sweet flavor. The salad's probably going to give me some sweetness and some umami flavors, maybe. I think both taste fine, by the way. So it's not that I think the chocolate bar tastes a lot better than tomato salad, but the overall health impact on my energy level of the tomato and olive oil salad immediately and over the course of a day, a week, and a month is going to be very different from that chocolate bar, even though I could equate their intake in calories. The volume is going to be bigger for the salad. The micronutrient profile is going to be different. The impact on my digestive system, my glucose spikes, everything is going to be very different. And the impact on my satiety is going to be very different from that. So understanding those kinds of differences all comes back to understanding why energy balance matters and how we can start to use that to our advantage. All right, in closing, what is one small change we can make today that might help us get fitter and healthier over time? And if you're watching this, you can see that I'm holding a glass of water because we're going to do one very simple thing, and I have about 70 little habits that I'm going to be sharing with you throughout these videos, throughout this podcast over the next 70 days, so that you can figure out which little habits can help you and can stick, and which habits you might want to let go of in order to stay fitter and healthier for a longer, healthier, more active life. We're going to add 1 glass of water. We're going to add that glass of water either when we wake up immediately or before breakfast. So there are 2 moments in the morning that we can pick from. But first thing in the morning, we're just going to do one thing. We're going to have that glass of water after we get up, rinse our mouth, brush our teeth, or right before breakfast. Could be an easier point for you, is when you sit down to have breakfast, before you eat your breakfast, not during, before, preferably a few minutes before, which is why right out of bed is maybe a nice moment, is to just have that 1 glass of water. Add that to the routine. Why? Well, first of all, staying hydrated is important, especially after a night of sleep. But second of all, when we have that glass of water 20-30 minutes before a meal, we tend to actually feel somewhat more satiated and fuller from the meal. We tend to eat a little bit less, which might set us on a path for overall better health outcomes in regards to that energy balance that we talked about. So, glass of water, go ahead, fill it up, have it right when you get out of bed or before breakfast. And that's going to be the start of the day. I hope this was useful. I'll be back tomorrow with episode 3 of your friend Toby's podcast. And we'll talk about another tip. And we'll talk about the activity I did that day. And we'll talk about another topic from health and fitness, maybe about sleep, maybe about nutrition, maybe about activity, maybe about friendships and relationships, or maybe about our pursuits and hobbies and mastery in that. Brett Barkmon, Kim Knight, thanks for dropping by, saying hi. I appreciate that, and I hope that that was useful, and thanks for the thumbs up and like, and for subscribing to my channel if you have, and for being active on the chat. Remember, friends, we're good just the way we are. We've got to love ourselves before we can move on. This person we are today is going to get us to where we want to be tomorrow. So a bit of kindness is going to go a long way. And the only way to get anything done, friends, is by showing up and doing the work. So I will see you tomorrow. Take care. And remember, friends, subscribe.